This is Abdul Saad, clinical psychologist at Vital Mind Psychology here in Sydney, Australia, coming to you with a video today on the 5 core emotional needs of children. I hope that you have had a good and holy Christmas for those of you that celebrate Christmas, and I hope that you have been able to have some time out to spend with family and friends and for reflection and contemplation. In the video today, I'm going to be talking about the 5 core emotional needs of children. And in a way, it follows on from the videos that I discussed on narcissism, especially the childhood origins of narcissism, where I outlined some of the core aspects of parenting and some of the core developmental needs that go unmet in children who are injured narcissistically and who themselves become more prone to develop narcissism. And in this video, I'm going to be speaking more generally on 5 core emotional needs that children have. And these can be seen as universal needs that all children have across cultures. And meeting these 5 needs of children acts as a great protective factor against the development of mental disorders into adolescence and into adulthood. Before I begin, also a shout out to the subscribers. Thank you very much. I continue to be gratified by the responses to the videos and the amount of subscribers to the channel, and I hope that the information that I'm putting out there continues to be of value and of benefit. And thank you also to everyone that comments on the videos. So 5 core emotional needs of children. The number 1 core emotional need of all children is the need to develop a secure attachment with their primary caregiver or caregivers. And as I said before in a previous video, this is usually the mother and the father. As I also explained previously, attachment is a hardwired biological drive to form an enduring bond with our primary caregivers. And a secure attachment is characterized by a parenting style which provides a child with optimal levels of affection, of nurturance, a high level of predictability, of structure, of safety and security. In essence, it is a parenting style in which the parent puts the child's needs first and is able to accurately respond to their child, to nurture their child, to provide affection, comfort, support, predictability and security. And it is in the context of such a relationship with the parent in which a secure attachment is formed that we get a very high level of protection against the development of mental disorders, because a secure attachment which characterizes the early relationship from birth with our parents sets the foundation, sets the mental map, if you like, for all of our future relationships. So if we have experienced our parents in our life, in our early years and onwards, as dependable, as secure, as affectionate, as fair, as predictable, then they are the beliefs that we will have, and they are the expectations we will have in our future relationships, and it will increase our chance of developing secure, fulfilling, nurturing relationships and a secure, well-integrated, stable sense of self. So the number 1 universal need of all children is a secure attachment with their primary caregiver or caregivers, usually their mother and father, their biological mother and father. The second core emotional need of children is the need for them to have the capacity to express their valid needs and emotions, and for parents to be able to accurately mirror or reflect back those needs and emotions to the child. And this again is something I touched on in the video on the childhood origins of narcissism. In optimal parenting, the child is able to express their spontaneous feelings, their spontaneous needs as they get older, their beliefs, and the parent is able to process, to digest, and to reflect back what the child has said. Instead of the parent becoming upset, the parent becoming defensive, the parent becoming demanding of the child, not to express certain things, the parent in essence is able to mirror back to the child what the child has said. And this is really critical both verbally and non-verbally, because we see this in infants at a non-verbal level where mother and infant are attuned through their eye contact, through their body language, through their gaze. And this actually is what helps develop the infant's brain capacity and their capacity to relate to others and to understand who they are. So the development of a coherent sense of self is based on a secure attachment, as well as the parent being able to mirror back the child's emotions, the child's both verbal and non-verbal expressions. And this sets the foundation for the capacity for what we call emotional regulation. Because if we are able to mirror back to our children their feelings, their thoughts, their desires, then we are modeling for them that they too have a capacity to internalize these emotions, to be able to sit with them because they are being mirrored back to them. And this forms the foundation of their capacity to be able to regulate, to be able to deal with emotions, even if they're quite distressing. So the second core emotional need of children is the need for spontaneous expression, and for parents to be able to accurately mirror back and help the child to process what the child is expressing, be it verbal or non-verbal. The third core emotional need of children is the need for spontaneity and play. Children need play. It is actually a fundamental building block of brain development in their formative years, especially unstructured play versus structured play, because many kids today are getting structured play in terms of extracurricular activities and sports and organized sort of games, but unstructured play is quite critical. And this is the sort of play where the parent allows the child to take the lead. The parent is a curious observer of what the child is doing. They may comment from time to time on what the child is doing. They may reflect back how the child feels, and they allow the child to take the lead in the play. Spontaneity in play is critical for the development of the right brain, the right hemisphere of the brain, which is critical for visuospatial, kinesthetic, and non-linguistic aspects of brain development, especially also creativity. And it's very important for the development of relational skills, because in play, there is the to and fro, the reciprocity, and especially when the child follows, when the parent follows the child's lead in play, that's also demonstrating to the child that you are important, that I'm interested in what you're doing. And we find that parents who do this very well, often very naturally without any coaching, provide a very gentle ongoing commentary on what the child is doing, and it becomes a highly educational experience for the child, as well as a bonding experience with their parent. The fourth core emotional need of children is to develop a sense of autonomy and independence. And this involves encouraging children to explore, to push beyond their boundaries sometimes, to maybe experience a little bit of fear and danger. And the opposite of this is to, I'm not sure if this is a term that my American friends have, but to mollycoddle, to put our children, to wrap them up in wool and to be overly protective of them, because this actually goes against an internal sense of autonomy and independence, and actually sets them up for anxiety disorders and a total lack of resiliency. So encouraging exploration, encouraging independence, autonomy, encouraging work. The pleasure of doing a job and completing it and getting a reward for it is a very important part of growing up, and understanding resiliency, understanding the capacity to effectively achieve things, and also to deal with setbacks in life. So autonomy, independence is another critical core emotional need of children that we as parents need to keep in mind when raising our kids. The fifth and final core emotional need of children that I'll be addressing is the need for appropriate boundaries and limit setting. Because appropriate boundaries and limit setting forms the foundation for the development of a realistic sense of self, the capacity to deal with the world and the different sorts of people in the world. It protects children against being entitled and being narcissistic. So appropriate boundaries and limit setting are very important. And in the context of securely attached parenting style, the boundaries and the limit setting are going to be focused on principles and on behavior, and are not going to be focused on putting the child down or shaming the child. So it's going to be about placing boundaries and setting limits that are in the child's best interest, that are not there to punish the child, not to demean the child, but are there to support the child in developing principles, in developing morals, in developing a sense of right and wrong and where the boundaries are. And often as parents, especially in modern times, we can lose sight of the fact that children actually crave some boundaries and some limits, because this gives them a sense of security and safety. If I know where the boundaries are and if I can stay within them, then that's actually going to be a lot better than for there to be very little boundaries and I have to sort of make my own way in this world and sort of learn as I go. So with appropriate boundaries and limit setting as parents, we can actually reduce a lot of the anxiety that comes with childhood and eventually with adolescence if we know how to do it right. So those have been 5 core emotional needs. And so in recapping, the number 1 has been to form a secure attachment, a secure and enduring bond with the child. Number 2 has been the capacity for the child to express their needs and emotions, and for the parent to be able to mirror back those needs, those emotions back to the child. Thirdly, the need for spontaneity and play. Fourthly, the need for a sense of autonomy and independence. And fifthly, the need for appropriate boundaries and limit setting. And if we can strike the right balance in providing our children these 5 crucial emotional needs or aspects of parenting, remember, we can't be perfect in all of them. There's no such thing as perfect parenting. But if we can strike a balance, then these 5 core elements of parenting, these 5 core emotional needs, if they are satisfactorily met, if they are met in a good enough way in childhood, these 5 things together provide a great protective factor against the development of all mental disorders. Because as you can see, if there isn't a secure attachment, which is the first one, then the whole sense of self is going to be destabilized, and that can open up a whole bunch of issues in terms of relationship problems, problems in dealing with frustrations later in life, self-esteem issues. With the second one, if we're not accurately mirroring back to our children their feelings and emotions, we can shunt their emotional growth. We can give them the message that they are not valid, they're not worthy. We can instill in them shame, and we can set them up for narcissistic injury. With the third one, if there's a lack of spontaneity and play, we can stifle their creativity, we can stifle their development of their right brain function. We can also contribute towards increased obsessionality and rigidness in children, which a lack of spontaneity and play can sometimes contribute to. And fourthly, if there isn't a strong sense of autonomy and independence, we can make our children more vulnerable to being much less resilient than they need to be, to being more vulnerable, for example, to narcissistic individuals when they grow up. And fifthly, if there aren't appropriate boundaries and limit setting, we can set our children up for having unrealistic expectations of reality. And when they enter the real world, they get a rude shock, whether it's in the world of education or when they get their first job. If there's a lack of boundaries and limit setting in the child's life, then that child growing up into adolescence and young adulthood is more likely to deal with a lot more issues in various contexts. So they have been 5 core emotional needs of children. I hope that they are of some value to parents out there, to grandparents, to parents-to-be. And I will catch you soon, God willing, with further videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I think also when you subscribe, you've got the option of clicking the bell icon, which will tell you when my videos are uploaded. And feel free to continue to comment, and I'm going to try in the next week or so to reply back to some of the newer comments that have come up in the last couple of weeks. Okay, thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you soon.